Okay, I'm here with Marisa. Marisa is one of our wonderful, brilliant bookkeeper students, and then a brilliant pro member. And you've had a really cool business journey. And we were just talking about. You said before you came on that you had to cancel a call because one of your kids was freaking out. Is that right?
Yeah, so I we're in the process of hiring a bookkeeper and I had an interview scheduled and at 2:30 and my child wakes up screaming and doesn't want to hang out with the gal that's here to watch her and Finnan and she just wants to be with mom and I'm like, "Well, you can't be on this meeting." Sometimes I let her come in and she just full meltdown. And
Yeah.
so I was about 17 minutes late to this interview, just popped in and said, "Hey, we're gonna have to reschedule, but I wanted to just, I didn't want you to receive that in a text, like, or in an email.
Yeah.
It's like, so I'm gonna resend you the link. Please reschedule. I'm sorry that this is your first impression of my business,
You
but
know,
it's real.
it is what it is, though. I mean, I don't know. When you said that. So, what we have going on right now is our daughter is 7 months old, and last night was the first night that we tried to get her out of our room because, like, I'm tired of her being in our room. Like, it's just, as you know, it's like the sleep is terrible for everybody, and it's just the worst when you're like a zombie every day. And like, my wife and I are fighting about things that we never would fight about because we're both just so tired, and we're just like, it's like you don't even want to like see each other because you've had 3 hours of sleep every night for the last
Yeah.
7 months. And then I had a sales call right before this, and before that call, my son was screaming about Cheerios. He's 5, and he wanted Cheerios, and he was like, free. It was time for him to take a nap, and he was like, "I want the Cheerios in bed." I was like, "No," because every time, like, you know how this is with little kids, it's like, you can't have food in your bed because if you do that, then food's going to be everywhere, and then you find
Mhm.
food like 6 months later. So this whole working from home thing with kids, how do you make it work?
I feel like I only work when they're asleep or when someone's here to occupy them, which I mean, I don't know. But also, my husband works outside of the home. So it is really just me all the time. So I'm like, all right, that's why bookkeeping is great because I can just do it when I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're good with boundaries. I feel like you're good with like client boundaries, and you're very present with your, I don't know, you care about your time a lot, which I think is great. I wish I was more like that. I'm not that way, and I think it's probably not the healthiest thing. Like but I think for you it's like out of necessity. You're like, I have to monitor my time. And it's kind of in your personality type too, right?
Yeah, yeah. I have this ideal expectation of how my days are going to go. And of course they don't ever go that way. They can somewhat align, but yeah, I mean it is almost impossible to do bookkeeping with a 2.5 and a 1 year old, either on my lap or running around or pulling cords under my desk. And it's like, okay, I just literally can't do this right now. So
Yeah.
that does sort of make it easier for me to stick to those, like, all right, I'm working during nap time or working during bedtime or after bedtime.
Yeah. It's so funny. I had Chris Orzakowski, who's a good friend of mine that's an email copywriter. He's, fantastic marketer. But our whole episode was about kids, and it's like how to work at home with kids. But I feel like, and I don't know if I'm even allowed to say this, I feel like the male perspective on that, when you get like two guys together that work from home and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's so hard to work with kids." And then I see like my wife is at home too, and I just see what she has to do every day because it's different. Like, my kids are different with me and it's than they are with her, and they require like, it requires so much more energy from her with our kids than it does from me. So you'd probably listen to that episode last week and be like, "God, these guys are freaking idiots." So I'm curious, just like, how do you handle it from more of like the, I don't know, like maybe the emotional toll of it, or the just the physical exhaustion kind of toll, especially with little kids. Like, how have you been able to grow a business and also do that at the same time? Because I think it's incredibly impressive.
Yeah, honestly, my husband and I were talking last night. I was like, let's just throw it all away. It doesn't even, because it can be so taxing. And it's not like that all the time. It's not 24/7 where it's like, oh man, I'm literally running on 4 hours of sleep and I don't have a newborn. I have two kids, a family, and a business. Um, but yeah, it is. The good thing about it is that I love doing the work. I think I'm getting to the point where even though I like doing the work, I have to choose between the things that I like, the work, the bookkeeping, and the things that I want to do, like watch a movie or like work on my crochet stuff, or like my best friend just gave birth a couple weeks ago, and I was supposed to make her baby blanket like way before this child was born, and it's still not done. And it's like, I just want to sit there and watch my movie and do my crochet. However, these businesses are paying me to do a service and I need to get it done. So here we
Yeah.
are, 11 o'clock at night, running my stuff, you know? So it's a tricky thing. It is really tricky. And it's really important for us to make sure that I'm present with our kids and our family. And so other than like this little hour when they are awake and we have someone here watching them, I don't work when they're awake. Because I came from a home where my mom worked all the time. She was a single mom when I was growing up, and she worked all the time. She was a real estate. She is a real estate agent, and you know that can be 60 hours a week, depending on the market and your clients and whatever you're doing. And so I always just saw her working and working and working. And we'd be at home and she'd be asleep on the couch because she's just drained, you know? And I knew that that's not what I wanted to be. That's not the kind of mom that I wanted to be when I became one. However, I do have, I mean, I have that drive that she had. It's like, I want to go and do this and I want to go do, and so it is, someone said it like this once, I think. The tension never goes away of the pull. It's a tension to manage. It's not a tension to resolve. And so managing the tension, like between life and work and all of these things, it's like, okay, it's always going to be there. I'm always going to have a pull. What am I going to choose right now, tonight at 9 o'clock at night when my kids
Right.
are asleep? My husband's at Bible study. Am I going to take the night off or am I going to get my stuff done? So,
Yeah. Oh, that's like that time, because our kids are both asleep by like probably 8. Like that time is the most precious time of all. It's like my favorite parts of the day. So I don't know it. I don't know how early you wake up. Before we had kids, I woke up at like 7:30, maybe. I don't know. I wake up at 4, sometimes 3:30 now, just to like just to have some quiet, for and just sit there in silence and not have to think about. I mean, I still think about the business. That's kind of, I wish I was like journaling or something. Like I don't have like the discipline, I guess, to do something cool like that. But that time is really, really special. But I know what you mean, where it's like when you have some quiet time finally, you kind of have to make the choice of like, am I going to get stuff ready for tomorrow, or am I going to like watch Netflix,
yeah, I was having an internal dialogue the other day. So we do like morning things. We go out, like we go to Bible study in the mornings, or we go to like a once a week class for my kids, and I pack their lunch. And I'm like, okay, the night before, it's 8:15, they're asleep. Do I want to be lazy now and stressed tomorrow, or do I want to be not lazy now and not stressed tomorrow? Like that's something that I have to ask myself all the time. It's like, because it is tempting to do that, So it's just, once I literally had those words in my head, I was saying those to myself, and I was like, I'd rather not be stressed tomorrow. So let me just pack their lunch right now.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think that do you think being a business owner is harder than you thought it would be?
Yes, I think that I expected to be able to like disconnect more than I can. Like, I was just reviewing an application and they were like, "Yeah, I don't ever want to own my own business again because like I just that you never get away from it." And I was just like kind of pondering on that response to that question. It's like, yeah, it is an all the time thing. It's like being a mom all the time. Like I'm just a mom all the time.
Yeah,
Even when I sleep because someone's crying and I need to go check on them. You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah, oh yeah,
it's an all the time thing. And seeing my mom do that, it was an all the time thing. And I think that I'm able to probably set some good boundaries. I just haven't figured that out yet. Like, I
yeah.
haven't figured out how to stop thinking about what needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hard. I feel like that's the hardest part, is just how do you turn it off. I feel like I've gotten better at it over the years. I think it does kind of come with time. Maybe for me, I've just kind of realized over time that like things are going to be okay if I don't work all the time. But I remember in the early days, for sure, it didn't feel that way at all. It was like, if I'm away from this thing, And it's kind of true. I mean, when you're depending on what revenue level you're at, like your involvement really matters a lot. But even still, like being able to just kind of like get away or take some time off or whatever, it just doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't really affect anything in the grand scheme. But it's hard to figure that out, and it's hard to know like when can I kind of pull back from the business and when can I take some time off. When, you know, I get guilt when I'm not working. I don't know if you deal with this. When I'm not like really hustling, or if I've let something slide, I always get the feeling that I'm not working hard enough. I always battle that. Do you deal with that?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm slacking off. Like, why am I not being
Yeah.
productive? I think, honestly, I keep talking about my mom, but that's where I have a lot of things
Yeah.
that, that's where I learned how to be an adult, you know?
Right. Yeah.
I was never able to learn rest
Mm.
without it being attached to some like form of like an earning. Like you can't earn rest. You don't earn rest. You
That's
need
interesting.
rest.
Yeah.
Rest is a requirement of being a human.
Yeah.
Whether
Right.
that's sleep rest or just rest, away. And so when my husband and I first got married, we talked about that a lot. Like even just not with business things, just like, oh, I need to go unload the dishwasher or do the laundry or clean the house or do whatever. And he's like, just sit down and like, no, but then I'm not productive.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah. So I definitely feel that. And I think
Yeah.
also like when you have employees, I don't know, I don't have any yet. So well, not any like full on
You will
ones.
soon.
We're getting there,
Yeah.
but maybe it's different with that when you're like, okay, I know Ariel has the team on lock while I'm on paternity leave or whatever. But for me, it's like, well, if I don't do it, like it literally doesn't get done. So
Yeah. There's trade offs. I feel like, so pre employee, I felt like I had to do a lot more myself. And that was, I'm not probably wired the way that my brain works, like from the EOS standpoint, like just to use it, like I'm a pretty classic visionary. I'm not like wild ideas all the time with no execution. I can execute if I get really focused on something, I can execute, but I'm not the best at executing because I don't turn over every stone the way I should. Like I don't cross every T and dot every I. I do minimum viable to whatever the result is. So like, that's kind of where I can make things happen. I was able to do that very, very well when I was just a solopreneur, but I wasn't making it happen in the most efficient way possible. And I wasn't making it happen in a way to where I could build teams or bring somebody in and like systematize. So the first kind of hires that I had to make were more like virtual assistants that kind of had ops experience because that's just, my brain's just not wired well for it. And so what happened for me is like, business became easier in a way where I wasn't having to do a bunch of things that I really didn't enjoy doing. The downside benefit, or it's not downside benefit, the downside of hiring, or just one of the challenges, is that you are more responsible for these people in a way. And so I think there's a sweet spot. I'll be honest with you. The sweet spot is if you have like one employee or two employees and a couple of contractors and you keep it super lean and it's like, it feels manageable and you kind of get to this nice place. And I have some friends that are in this place. I'm not in this place, but it's like you get to this nice place where it's like business feels pretty easy. What happens is if you're like, I want to scale beyond that and I want to push, then you start having a lot of employees and then the pressure just like increases dramatically because it's like if you have bad, like let's say you have a bad month or a bad quarter or a bad year, then it's like there's a ton of pressure because you've got payroll and you've got all these things. And you've probably heard business owners talk about that. Like, oh God, I've got to make payroll. I've got to do this. There is like a huge stress of that, but it's like, so I don't know. I don't feel like there's a perfect place necessarily. I think where you're about to get is going to be really nice. And then you're going to be able to make that decision of like, do I want to push this further or do I want to stay right here? Which one of those sounds better to you? Like, are you like a push and scale person or are you kind of like a find the happy middle ground person?
I kind of like the like, okay, now that this is working, let's go and find something else that's shiny. Whether that's another client or a
Mhm.
big cleanup job or whatever it is. I'm always kind of looking for the next thing. And I don't know that I like that quality in myself sometimes because it seems like I've really actually been working on contentment a lot, just personally. And I'm thinking about that in terms of business. And I'm like, okay, once we make this hire and they're taking over the client work and I can just focus on gaining more clients and kind of optimizing some of our systems and processes to be able to handle those clients and pass them off to the employee and things. It's like I would love to just shoot for the moon and go and get all the new clients and get another hire and stuff. But then I think about those nights where I'm like, okay, what do I want to choose to do tonight?
Mm-hmm.
And so thinking about that, I'm like, hey, if I've got my client work done, maybe I just ride this for a little while. Like, I think that I would be okay. And I think that I think that our life would be okay in terms of like, the financial stuff. And like, I think we'd be, hey, we're okay now and I'm doing all the work. And so if someone else is doing that work and it's not affecting my pay.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Obviously, like, I'm going to have to grow in areas to be a good boss and
Oh, you'll be a good,
all of
yeah.
that stuff. So I'm
You'll
like,
be a good boss.
I don't have a whole lot of experience. So I think I've managed like a few people in previous positions. And so I'm like,
You
I'm
know,
gonna have to figure this out.
yeah, I think you'll be really good at it. The biggest thing about like being a good boss, because I think I'm a good boss. I like to think I haven't lost many people over the years. Like knock on wood. But people generally like working for me. And it's not because I'm like incredibly skilled at anything. If you're just like nice to people, like if you just treat people well, then you'll be a good boss. I think I've seen so many people. It's so weird. It's like I've seen people that are genuinely nice people, but then they get into a business. I think something that can happen over time is that you get kind of jaded in business, and you kind of like have to battle so often, whether you're battling with clients or you're battling with maybe employees or just something going wrong all the time. I think people get really hardened, and I think that shows up in not treating their employees very well, like or with decency. And so I think you're naturally wired to just do that. So I don't think you'll have a problem with it. You do have to kind of like you can't just be super nice all the time either though, because you can't get walked on. Like it's a weird thing. But your disposition I think is pretty I think you're going to be just fine at having employees. Where I think that it actually if I you didn't ask for my advice, but I'm going to give you advice. I would just do it slowly. Like every time that we've had like a big surge in revenue, I've always overhired. And that's been the most frustrating thing because it's so easy to do. And it's like you see this with business owners that you work with, right? It's like they'll have a bunch of revenue and then like you go and look at their books and you're like, what the heck? You don't have any money. Like you guys are broke. And payroll's crazy and all that kind of stuff. It's so easy to do that. And I've gone through that cycle probably at least twice now. And I've learned enough lessons now to where it's like when as revenue grows, you have to stay so disciplined with the expenses. Like you just have to say no to every new little thing. Like if it doesn't genuinely like if there's no return on that investment almost immediately, then just say no to it or cut it as quickly as possible. And like you have because of your financial background now and working with clients and everything, like you're going to do that. But it's the overhiring and the letting your expenses bloat. That's where it's like hiring employees and growing your business gets really stressful really quickly. And you've seen this with clients, right? Yeah, it's
I'm hoping that I can translate some of the things that I watch them learn into my own business.
yeah,
Like, oh, I see that you did that. Maybe I shouldn't do that.
yeah. You'll probably still make some of the same mistakes, but that's the thing. It's like I think what you said about contentment is really I think that's really important because that's something that I have been trying to work on. I have this thing where it's like I always want more and I don't really know why I want more. I think it's because that's like how it's just interesting to me. I think like that's how I keep my life interesting is like by doing other things that I don't know how to do. But I also recognize like I need to just be happy with what I have. And I think that's the struggle of like, how do I enjoy what I have, but also like still want more at the same time? And I have not figured that out. Maybe you can figure that out faster than me. I don't know how to do it though,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah. I don't know I don't know how to do that either. I think it's tricky. Like I think about it now and my husband was saying something last night and he was saying in terms of like a state of stress that we live in, like, oh, I've got this whole big load of client work that I need to do, and I've got this homeschooling stuff that I need to start doing with my kids, and, all the normal things like our car needs new brakes and just life. He was saying something like, when you drop something that it has been stressful, it gets replaced with something else. And so you're never going to have a stress-free life. Like, so all of these things, and I'm not really on social really ever. I think the biggest thing that I had was Pinterest, which I recently deleted because it was keeping me from contentment, I believe. It was like, Pinterest, pin your dream board. And it's like, okay, well, I'm never going to have, I don't know if guys do Pinterest or whatever, but like, this is not what my master bedroom is ever going to look like, because this fantasy, And so I'm like, I think I'm going to delete that because it's not really serving me at all. It's actually pulling me in the opposite direction. And so when he was talking about stress last night, I was like, I think he's right, because once I figure out all the things with my kids right now, there's going to be a next phase, more school or sports or things. And so, like, yeah, I may have a part-time employee or full-time employee that's managing all of my client work, and that's floating, and let's keep that floating for a while. Let's just, that's going to be chill. Then soccer games and basketball games and all these things. And so it's like our schedule, our life, I don't know that it'll ever be like, oh, I wake up and breakfast is ready and the laundry's done, So it's really interesting. And we just had that conversation last night. But I've just been thinking about that a lot today. And I'm like, okay, so I'm content. Like, contentment and stress, I don't think are opposites, and they have to coexist. Like, you have to be content with the states of stress that you're in. And stress is not necessarily a bad thing. Too much stress, I think, is.
Yeah.
Or like overcapacity, right? Like, that's detrimental. But yeah, so it's just interesting. I've been thinking about that all day, and I'm like, I think they have to coexist. I think that's where
I think so too. Yeah, I think you're right. I've kind of realized there's this Alex Hormozy quote, which I didn't used to like Alex Hormozy. I used to think that he was just like full of nonsense, but the more I've actually listened to him, I'm like, oh, he's pretty smart. Where he was just like, it doesn't matter what you're doing in business, whether you're staying small or you're trying to hire a few employees or you're trying to scale to 100 employees or 1,000 employees or whatever you're trying to do, there's going to be pain in some form every step along the way. Like, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's like you're either going to have the pain of like, oh, maybe I should be growing more than I am. I feel stuck right now. What if I didn't have to do all these things? And then you're going to also, if you grow a lot, you're going to have the pain of like employees, or if you grow really big, getting sued for something or whatever. Like it doesn't matter. And so you should just accept it and be okay with the fact that you're going to be in a constant state of some form of pain. And it's kind of like dark when you think about it like that, but I think it's true. And I don't think there's actually anything wrong with it. So I think what you were saying about stress, I've kind of realized that I had this period in my business early on. This is back when I was just a blogger, where I was just like, I just hung out every day. I didn't do anything really. I just wrote some blog posts, and it was so I had some client work that I was doing at the time, but it wasn't like crazy. And I was making enough money. We had like almost no expenses. And I just went from coffee shop to coffee shop, just working, and, no kids. It was awesome. And then I got depressed. Like after a few months of that, I was like, it was just kind of weird. Like I kept running into this thing where I was like, there's nobody around. Like you go to the grocery store during the middle of the day, nobody's in there. You go to these coffee shops and you said there's nobody there. And I didn't really have like any stress, but it was the most depressed that I've ever been in my entire life. And as I've grown the business and I've probably inherited way more stress because of that, I'm way happier now than I was then, which kind of sucks, but it's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing. It's like, you think like, oh man, no, I won't be stressed out anymore. But I think you're right. Like, it's just a part of life, and it's just how well can you manage it? And then it also, I think, gives you perspective on those periods of time where you're not feeling stressed. Like when you're hanging out with your kids, and it's like one of the, you have those magical moments with your kids where everything just feels right in the world. And you're like, oh, wow. Like, I think if you didn't have the stress, then it wouldn't hit the same way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. The sweet parts wouldn't be as sweet. They'd kind of just all like blend together. Yeah. I feel like that when I put a dinner meal in the crock pot and I don't have to actually like make it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we can just like go play, or I can go like tidy up the house really quick before we actually sit down and eat dinner. And then like nighttime is not crazy. This is bliss. Crock pot or Instant Pot is bliss.
I love me some crock pot. Ariel and I were talking about this the other day. She's like and I think this is because her kids are older. Her kids are like teenagers and up. She's like, oh, we don't do the crock pot. And where we are right now with the little kids, crock pot we do crock pot a lot. And then we also do paper plates. We are a paper plate family at the moment, because the idea of doing dishes when you got a kid screaming at you and then you got a baby that's fussy too.
Yeah.
It's just, so that's where we are in life. I feel like we need to talk about some why business is good stuff. I feel like we went deep into the, what's stressful about business, but let's talk about your business. Let's give your business a little bit of a plug. So why don't you tell everybody, we should have started this with this at the beginning. Tell everybody about your business and how you came to be.
Yeah, so my business is Arise Accounting, and I started it with a business partner in 2020 in the middle of COVID, or it was like in the fall of, COVID year. Um, it didn't start as a bookkeeping business. It started as a like online business management company where we would do like run the operations for other businesses. And her and I were sitting at a Starbucks and just kind of dreaming about like, okay, she didn't like her job. I didn't like my job, or I had just quit my job that day or something. Like it was just, this crazy thing where it was just born out of, let's just find the American dream or whatever.
Right.
And so we did that. And then it just like became spreadsheet work. We just started doing spreadsheets for a bunch of people. Like we found this Facebook group and people needed help building out spreadsheets for coordinating real estate transactions. And so we did that. We just got paid to build spreadsheets, and I love spreadsheets. My business partner is very much a people person, like the face of things. And I'm very much if we're talking maybe in terms of EOS, like she would be the visionary and I would be the integrator.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. I'm like, let me just put on my whatever music I was into at the time and let me just sit here for 8 hours and like build out this massive spreadsheet. And that was fun. And then my life got busier and her life got busier. And, I got, I had a job and some other things. And so Arise kind of just like was like, all right, it's here when we need it. We can use it for whatever. Then in 2023, probably like January or something, we had a conversation like, what do we want to do with it? Like, it's kind of just like sitting here. So it's like 3 years later, where it's kind of just sitting here. And I was like, my favorite part out of every operational thing that we do for businesses is the financial part. I think I really like bookkeeping. And I was doing bookkeeping for my current job and stuff. And then I had a child in April. And then she found a post in some Facebook group in Knoxville for a brilliant bookkeeper. And she's like, hey, look at this. And I was like, that is really cool and really timely. And so I signed up. And so that was July of 23 or June or July of 23. And I was on maternity leave. And I finished the whole course, and I was like, okay. So my business partner at that time, her name is Courtney. She started another business, and so I was like, hey, let me just do your bookkeeping for your business. And she's like, yeah, of course. And so we did that, and then end of 2024, I was like, okay, I can no longer have a full-time job and be a mom. However, I do have this bookkeeping thing, and so January of 2024. I got my first paying client, and then so had those two clients for all of 2024, and then 2025 we gained 6 new clients, and so now we're at a total of 7 clients total. So this year I've gained 6 clients, which is wild. But yeah, so we didn't start as bookkeeping. Now we are. So we were called the Rise Frameworks, and now we're called the Rise Accounting, because I just wanted to be extremely clear what we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's really, man, it's great. I think that I have a helping spirit. Like I just want to help people. I just want to help people in whatever way. And my favorite way just happens to be with their finances, because I love the numbers and the black and white and the right and wrong. Like there is a right and wrong way to do this. Yeah. And also I love a good cleanup project, kind of like a fixer upper,
You and I are so different. It's so funny.
You're probably like, oh my gosh, all these things she's saying is like nauseating.
I am the least, for a person that owns an accounting firm, I am the least into numbers. It's like, I think for me, I'm kind of similar to you in the way that I like helping business owners. For the first part of my career, I was a personal finance blogger, and I helped people with their personal finance. But then as my business grew, I just realized like, I don't even know, when you own a business, like, your income's not steady, and it's so much different, and depending on how your company's structured and how you pay yourself and salary and all that kind of stuff. And it was like, I don't even think I can talk to people about personal finance anymore, at least because my whole thing was telling people how to pay off debt on a teacher's salary, because that was my story. And then I was like, I don't even think that I can relate to anybody that has just a salary anymore because it's your income as a business owner, especially in the early years, it just fluctuates so much. Like you can crush it one year and then have an awful year. And so but then I just started noticing that there were a lot of other business owners that struggle with the same things. And I've always had kind of the financial passion, but then also the business passion. So it's really just evolved over the years for us helping people make more money is kind of how, and I think we're kind of expanding into other things beyond that, like helping people. I guess it's all kind of tied back to revenue in a way, but it's like helping people figure out how to scale or how to, we've got this big roadmap. But it's all about helping business owners. And to me, it's been the most fulfilling thing. Like your story is amazing because I think it's just cool to see people come into a program and then it's like you put this thing out there and you hope that it helps people. And then all of a sudden they take it and like they turn it into a real business. Like that's been the coolest part about all of the stuff that we've helped people do. And so I think it's also cool to just like meet people like you. That only happened because of the Brilliant Bookkeeper program and like, the business and all of that. And it's like you get like these business friends and people that you know. So I've enjoyed all of that. And I think for you, like, it seems like you really do, like you care deeply about your clients. And I think that could be a good thing and a bad thing, but I think mostly it's a good thing. I think it's like 90% good, 10% bad. But you've done a really good job of like, you care about your clients deeply. And that's why like, I know you're going to keep having success because that's really the only thing that matters. Have you had any wins for your clients? Because we could talk about the hard things with clients because it's like, they know there are hard things, but have you had like success wins for your clients that were like very gratifying?
Yeah, so we work with a nonprofit and they employ missionaries in different countries, and their friends and families can donate to this organization and get like basically a tax deduction, like a charitable donation for donating to this company who then pays the salaries of the missionaries and their costs in other countries and things. And so we are doing their checks for them. So they get like 700 checks a month. Like it's actually ridiculous. It's a very large organization. And so they have all these checks that come in and we get to open the envelopes and get the checks and scan them and put them into the donation software and all these things. And so like that's a very small piece of the whole process of how they receive revenue, receive those donations. Of course, we do all the month end things and things like that. But so before we got hired, they had an employee doing that job. That was their entire job, was check processing. And we saw this application. We have a friend that works there, and we saw this application go up for an admin/bookkeeper. And I applied not as an employee. I said, "Hey, my business can provide this service to you," and that was just this year. And so they went through the whole process, and they're like, "Yeah, like if you can do the checks, because this nonprofit is based locally here in Knoxville, which just happened to be." That's just a coincidence. And so we were able to do that. And anyway, so I think the win on that is we were able to take those over. They didn't have to hire an employee and do all the employee benefits and taxes and all the other stuff. They're just able to pay us as as a vendor, and we're able to do that. And I've also, that's the first win, I think, is they were just able to do that. Now that we've actually taken it over, we've made it way more efficient. We're using all the things like Google Drive and, actually if you were to look at it compared to other businesses or organizations, you'd probably be like, you kind of just brought them into the 21st century.
That's cool. Yeah.
So that's been really cool. But because this organization is a fully remote team, other than the couple people that are here in the office. And so there's people on the West Coast and even around the world because the missionaries are around the world. And so it's been really cool to just take that process of checks and make it digital to where we have discrepancies. Oh, let's just all go look at this check scan and figure it out, instead of like somebody has to go to the office and dig through a drawer and find the check and, oh, this one wasn't, whatever the discrepancy was. So that was really cool. And our point of contact there, she was planning on retiring in 2026, but Arise has taken on a lot of the financial part. She still does the payroll and some other like financial operations, but we've taken on so much of her job that she's not wanting to retire anymore. Like she's like, my load has been lifted so much that like I'm enjoying my job again and I'm okay to keep working. And so like that's really cool.
That's
and
amazing.
She's great to work with too. Like she's honestly, I feel like she's me, just a few years ahead.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's really cool. It's really cool to be able to do that. And even now, when we first took on that check process, we were slightly efficient. And my employee at the time, she just recently went on maternity leave, and she was doing the checks, and then I took it over because, she's having a child, and we've made it even more efficient. So it's just, man, it's really cool. It's really cool to be able to A, do things to be efficient for my business, but B, help other businesses improve their efficiencies as well. So yeah.
That's incredible. And that's a big one too. That's really cool. Like she was going to retire and she's like, I'm not going to retire. That's huge. So where's the business going after this? I kind of know, I have insider information because you're part of Brilliant Pro, but where are things going next?
Yeah. So with our 7 clients, too many to manage for me right now with being a full-time mom. So we're looking to hire someone to take over that client work, and then I can work on getting some more business and make this employee into a full-time employee. That would be the goal here. So I'm just above 5,000 in monthly revenue, and my next goal is 10,000. Well, maybe not my next. I think my next is 7,500. But my
sure, you're getting that
goal
that way
is
though.
10. And yeah, so at 10,000, I will have replaced my personal income from when I was working a full-time 9 to 5. And so that was our initial goal of like, okay, I have a child, we lose half of our income. How are we, going to do that? And so that's what we're doing. And ultimately, my goal, I think when Ariel and I were sitting down doing our goals, it was like the 5-year goal, the big, hairy, audacious goal. It was like, this might be a really big stretch, but I mean, that's what this is, right? I would like to do 50,000 a month in revenue.
Heck
yeah. Is it BHAG? Is it BAG? We don't know.
I don't know.
We don't know.
Nobody knows. I think it's BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal. I think it's BHAG.
So anyway, so that's mine. And I think that was 5 years. Maybe it was 10. Maybe it was 5. I actually don't remember because I'm trying not to stress myself out about it. I'm just looking at my mission 90, just looking at the next 90 days. So yeah, so that's where the business is going. My husband and I were actually talking, and I think that he's going to start to step into the business slightly to help some things. He has a really great skill set. He's very strategic in a lot of things. He's a great leader, a great manager. And yeah, so I will be interested to see how that goes, and just kind of excited to see how much faster we can get to the goal with him in it.
You got some kid wildness. I think it's time for us to wrap it up. It always stresses. God, I'll tell you this. When I'm on a podcast, like I don't care if there's kids in the background because this is my life. But I get so stressed out when like I'm trying to talk to somebody on a podcast and then like kids are screaming and I'm like, oh God, they're gonna hate me because I'm gonna have kids. I don't care, just to let you know. But I have another call coming up soon anyway. So we'll go ahead and we'll wrap it up and save you some stress. Where can people find you?
I'm not on social because I'm not on social. Actually, I do have business accounts on social, but I don't do social media. So ariseaccounting.co is where I live, and I live in my email, and that's pretty much it. So
awesome. Well, I'm excited about your goal. I didn't realize that it was $50,000 a month, or I forgot it, but I think that's amazing. You're going to get there. That's just a matter of time. And you've already done so well. I'm excited that you kind of took the leap into Brilliant Bookkeeper and Brilliant Pro and all of that. It's been awesome working with you, and I don't know. I'm just you've been a great student and all of that stuff. So I'm very happy for you. Yeah. What's funny? My kid I've got a monitor on my desk right now. My kid's waking up from his nap. So it's time for us to go.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Thank you for joining, and we'll talk soon.